In 1983, I was sitting at my father's house and eating some garbanzo beans and vegetables that he had cooked for me. Just as my father was about to join me, his phone rang and he picked it up, and it was a call from India. So he told me to go ahead and eat while he spoke with his friend who had called. While I was eating, I could hear some of the conversation. It was quite serious, and my father was uh, speaking softly and consoling somebody, and this went on for a long time. It went on, in fact, for almost half an hour, and by that time I had finished my lunch. And when my father hung up the phone, he seemed very silent and thoughtful. And I asked him to come to the kitchen and eat his lunch, and he sat down, and I made some chai for myself and for my father, and we sat down, and as he ate, I asked him, I said, what was that all about? Who was calling, and what were you all talking about? And my father then explained to me that this was an old childhood friend of his from India, whose wife had passed away 6 months back, and his friend was feeling very, very lonely, and so he had called my father. And my father said, throughout the conversation, he kept saying, meaning referring to his friend, that even though he had had many people in his life, he was married, he had children, he had never found the kind of genuine love that he wanted, that he never had been truly loved in the way that he wanted. And I became silent when I heard that as well, because that is the nature of the human condition. We want attention, we want love, but often we don't get it. We don't get it in the way that we want. And so I asked my father, I said, what did you say to him? How did you console him? And my father said, well, mostly I was just listening to my friend speak and listening to his loneliness, the fact that his children were now far away, his wife had passed away, and there was just a lot of sadness in my friend's voice. And more than anything, my father said that it made him feel sad when his friend continued to say that he had never ever been loved genuinely by anyone. And my father said to me that I told him that I love him, and that I have always loved him, his friend. And my father said that he had said, of course, yes, you're my friend and you love me, but nobody has really ever loved me in the way that I wanted throughout my life. And now my father's friend was in his 70s at that time. And I asked my father, I said, then what did you say? How did you console your friend when he kept saying that he had never gotten the kind of love that he wanted at any time during his life? And my father said to me that at the end of the conversation, he told his friend that love is not something you get, it's something you give. I remember my father saying that to me long, long time ago. That love is not something you get, it is something that you give. Namaste.